Either ways you can say. And what we write in SQL statements, like to update data or to create, we have already seen the data structures, right? And the schemas and all. So to do all those things, we write SQL statements to perform the tasks such as like updating the things or constraining the data or to retrieve the data from the database or to delete data or to insert data, anything. So for all these things, or like to grant access to the database or to revoke the access to the database, everything is being done by using this SQL statements. It is, but it is not a coding. Like some people thinks like SQL is like coding. It's not a coding. It's only like a query language or a like, and it is nothing but a programming language, not a coding. It is a programming language and used to communicate with the relational data. So the important thing in SQL are constraints. We will start with constraints. What are the different constraints that would be available in SQL? Constraint is very important because like when you create the data or the structure of the table, you need to constrain the things. So you need to define the things such that everything appears in a structured manner. Basically, you need to define the things, right? Whenever something wants to be in a particular structure. So for doing those things, we will applying constraints to our tables. So we will discuss on that topic today. So you understood like what are the constraints and what is their importance, or you want me to explain again?
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay. We have some 6 different basic constraints are there. So we will see the constraints. One is primary key constraint and unique constraint, foreign key constraint, not null constraint, default constraint, check constraint. So these are the general basic common things that you would be seeing in SQL. And first we will see like we have seen the constraints in SQL, and also we see like in SQL what are the different categories of commands would be. Sneha, you know SQL, right? So what are the different types you have in SQL? Can you explain different categories of commands in SQL?
Commands.
Commands in the sense like categories.
No idea. Categories.
No idea.
Hmm.
Like you heard like DML, DDL, those things you heard.
No, no, no idea. I know only the query part only.
Only query part. So you haven't seen like what are the different categories of commands would be, those things you haven't seen, right?
Okay.
So we will be having, generally they say four, and you can make five also. First one is DDL, data definition language. The second category is DCL, data control language. And third one is DML, data manipulation language. The other one is TCL, transactional control language. And the last one is DQL, that is data query language. That one we would be mostly using. And in some cases, they categorize this DQL select command into DML. But if you split into five categories, that you will be it will be in a good way. And the main thing we would be using as a tester is DQL, and in this DQL we'll be using the select command mostly. So in DDL, data definition language is there, right? So what is the general initial syntax that would start like? We will create, it's a keyword. What are the keywords that are used in the SQL? I was categorizing those, which comes under what? Create, drop, alter, truncate. These four keywords or commands comes under data definition language. So these are used to create or delete the things, right? That's why we call them as we have categorized them under data definition language. Second one is data control language. So grant and revoke. These are the two things that comes generally under data control language. So granting the access to some database or revoking the access, those are things you can do using these commands. Next is data manipulation language. Manipulation means what? So already there are some existing things you are manipulating or modifying the things accordingly, like how you want. Under these, insert, update, delete. So these are the general things that is categorized under DML. Under TCL, it's commit and rollback. So for rollbacking the versions or commit, I don't know exactly. But for rollback, I have seen like to roll back to some previous versions, they use this rollback.
So the TCL stands for?
Transactional control language.
Okay, transaction.
Commit, I forgot, like I will just see like where commit is used. But for rollback, like for rollbacking the versions, they generally used this rollback command. And DQL is data query language. This is important for us as a tester, and we will be using to retrieving everything or for testing everything. We will be using our syntax starting with select all commands, like what we use. So are you clear on this, like different categories of SQL categories. Hello.
Yes, clear, clear.
So this is one of the common question that might ask, like what are the different categories
Yes, okay.
of SQL you can categorize. The next is constraints. First you will see like unique constraint, and primary key is a combination of unique and not null constraint. So that's why first I was starting with the unique constraint. In unique constraint, each row you need to have a different value and a unique value. Like if one times one value repeated, one value is there, it should not repeat again in that particular column for which you applied the primary key constraint. Sorry, unique key constraint. When you apply a unique key constraint for a particular column in the table, in that column, it will accept only unique values. Like if already any record is already existing, and if you enter again the same value, it will pop up an error. It will give an error, and it won't take that value and insert in your table. So that is unique constraint when you apply to the particular column.
Can we insert null value in unique column?
Yes, you can insert a null value because that is a unique one null you can insert.
Okay.
And not null. Not null constraint, when you apply not null to a particular column, in that no null values should appear. For every row, you should be having some value for that particular column. So that is not null constraint. There shouldn't be a null value when you apply a not null constraint for your table, for the column for your table. So the primary key when you apply, it is a combination of not null constraint and unique constraint. When I say the combination of not null and unique, then how it would be? Can you explain? What would be the
Unique
difference?
unique values means it does not allow the duplicate values,
Mm.
unique values only, and also does not allow null values.
Okay, what's the difference coming here then?
In unique constraint, we will insert only one null value, but
Here
here we can
you won't have
here
null value.
there is
You
no
won't have null
so,
value. That is the main difference.
yes.
They will ask this question. They will pose like, what is the difference between unique constraint and a primary key constraint? They will ask. So this is the difference. Like now, what you told, you need to tell that. When you apply a unique constraint, you can have a null value, and but when you apply a primary key constraint for a particular column in the table, it doesn't allow the null value. Are you clear till here?
Okay.
Next is default constraint. when you apply this constraint, you need to give some default value. So if you are not entering any value in that particular column, you will say like some default value should appear. So you have given default value as null. You are not entering for a particular row for that column in the table. Then if you are not entering any value, it will take it as null. So when you see the result, it will be appearing as null, even though if you don't enter any value in that particular row for that table. That is a default constraint. For applying a default value, when you are not entering any value in that row for that column in the table. Check constraint. Check constraint is you can give a condition for that column. In that column, you wanted only some age column was there. You wanted only like 10 to 50. Only those things like you wanted to allow in your table. So you will use the condition so that like the data, whatever is being entered should be in the range of 10 to 50. So when you apply this condition, when you are entering the value for this column, it would accept only when that value is between 10 to 50. If it is more than 50, it rejects. Rejects means it gives an error. It won't take. It is less than 10, it won't take. Only all the values between 10 to 50 it will take in that column when you apply a check constraint. The next one is foreign key constraint. Is table A and table B you consider. So there are two tables in your database. Here for a particular column, for this column, you are defining a primary key. Suppose employee table and employee name are there in this table. And here also employee name and salary is there in this table. Suppose like here there was employee ID and employee name, and here employee ID and salary. I will write here so it will be clear for you. So this is the data you are populating in A, and this is the data you are populating in B. For A table, you are applying a primary key constraint for this column A. Here in B table, there is like employee ID. Already you are applying in table A employee ID like primary key. So here you can't again apply as a primary key because the same thing, right? So here you will call this as a foreign key. And you will pull the data from this particular column to here. So you don't give again primary key constraint because already you are giving in table A. So for the same column, if you are using in your table B, here you won't say as primary key, you will say as foreign key. Understood?
Yeah, understood. Hello.
Hello? Yes. So next would be like surrogate key. This they ask in the interview, but you need to know. But these are the general constraint. When they ask, you need to tell them. But I will explain you like what is a surrogate key also. Sometimes you need to use this. So what is a surrogate key? Surrogate key is like a specially inserted column is there to track each and everything. We call that as a surrogate key. When surrogate key is used when you wanted to have a unique numbering for the store. Suppose you initially have the your store in place store 1, store, store, store A in place Pune, store B in Chennai, and store C you have in Hyderabad. So initially, when you are having in this particular column where the surrogate key was applied, the value is 1, 2. This is the second store. This is the 3. This is the third store. So the Pune store was not performing well. So you are moving that Pune store to a new place such as Bangalore. You are moving the same store only, right? So you are moving to Bangalore. So again the store A comes here, and here it would be Bangalore. And if you have status is closed, open, sorry, active would be there, and Pune store data would be like closed. So but here when you apply a surrogate key, this would be the fourth number. Like uniquely you are tracking each and every activity. Even though this store is closed, the same store A moved to Bangalore. Here, when you see the data, as this is closed data, if you want to see active data, only these three things would be coming. But here, the closed store number also you can track like unique with a unique number. We use this in such conditions where you wanted to track like each and everything, the closed things or active things, everything. For that column, we apply surrogate key. Understood? Hello?
Yes, yes, Surya. Understood.
Okay. So today what we have discussed. So we have discussed like what is SQL
SQL.
and what are the different categories of SQL commands such as like DDL, DCL, DML, TCL and DQL, and what is a constraint and what are the different types of constraints available in SQL such as primary key, unique, foreign key, not null, default constraint, check constraint, and surrogate key constraint. So just closing the class today. I think like I have taken only like half an hour. So we will, as only like two persons are there. So tomorrow, like we will cover some other extensive concepts in SQL.
Oh,
Okay, I will upload this recording.
oh,
Okay, thank you. Good night.
oh. Thank you. Good night.
Tomorrow I mostly will be having at 7 only. I will send the link.
Okay, okay. That
Okay,
is
yeah. Bye.